Portable TV. Come watch with me. Well, Americans could soon see a second COVID-19 shot. The FDA has found Moderna's coronavirus vaccine to be safe and highly effective, bolstering the vaccine's chances of being cleared for emergency use this week. And as vaccination campaigns get underway, lawmakers are back to the drawing board trying to hammer out a coronavirus relief bill. RT's Trinity Chavez has more for us out of New York.
The FDA has released a detailed analysis of Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine and says it supports the authorization for emergency use. The agency not only says that it's safe, but it's also 94% effective, a critical step forward to ending the pandemic.
1, 2, 3, little poke.
Today, a pivotal moment in the fight against COVID-19.
First one.
The FDA releasing a detailed 54-page report affirming the Massachusetts biotech firm's findings that the vaccine is about 94% effective and poses no safety concerns that would prevent the agency from granting an emergency use authorization.
Each COVID-19 vaccine that FDA potentially authorizes will have been through the typical numerous stages of safety review and more.
The analysis comes ahead of a Thursday meeting where the FDA's Vaccine and Relation Biological Products Advisory Committee is expected to recommend that emergency use approval, a move that would make Moderna's vaccine the second to be rolled out across the country, the first one from Pfizer and BioNTech.
In making our emergency use authorization determination, the FDA can assure the public and medical community that we have conducted a thorough evaluation of the available safety, effectiveness, and manufacturing quality information.
This as more states begin vaccinations in what is being called the biggest inoculation campaign in American history.
All right. Nice deep breath in through nose, out through mouth. Little poke. 1, 2, 3.
Healthcare workers coast to coast getting that COVID-19 shot. A nurse in New York who has been caring for COVID-19 patients, the first to get the vaccine.
I feel great. It didn't feel any different from receiving my annual influenza vaccine. I am very proud to be a healthcare worker, and I'm also very proud to be in this position to promote public confidence in the safety of the vaccine.
But while a COVID-19 vaccine is a step in the right direction, millions of Americans continue to struggle with financial turmoil brought on by the pandemic.
Savings are gone. My bills are coming up.
Still, though, the leadership in Washington has not agreed on a stimulus package. Therefore, a bipartisan group of lawmakers unveiled a detailed COVID-19 aid proposal to try to help congressional leaders strike a deal on a new round of virus relief.
To make matters even better, we have two, because with every good negotiation, you want to make sure you've covered everything. And we did that.
The group proposing to break up the $908 billion stimulus package deal into two bills. The first one, a $748 billion aid package that contains money for struggling businesses, the unemployed, schools, and for vaccine distribution. The second one proposes a $160 billion aid package for state and local funding favored by Democrats, and GOP sought provisions shielding businesses from COVID-related lawsuits. Now, it's still unclear which, if any, will be passed, but one GOP lawmaker pointed out that going home for the December holidays without passing a coronavirus relief bill is simply not an option. Reporting in New York, Trinity Chavez, RT.
Scientists in the UK have identified a mutation in COVID-19 in more than 1,000 cases there that they think might be contributing to the rapid spike in transmission across southern UK. The new variant that scientists at the COVID-19 Genomics UK Consortium, or COG UK for short, what they have found is temporarily being called VUI 2020-12/01. And now they're trying to pin down if this mutation is to blame. Dr. Muhammad Munir is a virologist with expertise in virus pathobiology. He's also a lecturer in biomedicine at the Lancaster University over in the UK. He's joining us now for a discussion on this mutation. Doctor, good of you to join us. Thanks for being here. The big question here is, just as these vaccines are now being released, Doctor, this new strain of the virus is also discovered. Do we have any idea of whether or not this new strain could render the vaccines useless?
Well, thank you very much, Manila, for having me on the show once again. I think it's really important to understand that when COVID-19 virus has initially infected us in the human population, we didn't have any immunity against this virus. So therefore, virus didn't find any resistance. But now 20% of the world population has already developed immunity against this infection. This means that the virus is finding difficult to infect us. Therefore, it would mutate, because without mutation, it wouldn't be successful in infecting us. So over the last 10, 11 months, we have noticed so many mutations, and majority of those mutations have very little impact onto the virus itself, or the transmission or severity of the disease, or vaccine effectiveness. But the mutation that is appearing now here in the UK, particularly in the London region, has one important mutation in the spike protein. Spike protein is very important for vaccine effectiveness and also for the entry into our body. So any mutation that occur into the spike protein is concerning and need to be looked very carefully.
And Doctor, many people are cheering the arrival of these vaccines as if this marks the end of COVID. Is it too early to celebrate?
Manila, this is certainly too early, and what I want to make people realize is that we have to achieve a herd immunity. That is, around 60 to 65% of the people have to have the immunity. But the availability of the vaccine is certainly a good start, but this is not something that we have to start celebrating. Just to put into the perspective, the American population is 330 million, and the doses they are receiving in the first phase are 6.4 million doses, which are sufficient only for 3.2 million people. And in their healthcare system and the caring and the nursing homes, there are 25 million people working in there. So this means 3.4 million people will only be immunized, which is accounting only for 2% of the population. So this means that we will not be reaching to the herd immunity that we require in at least in a year time, and that would be the time when we will be breaking the transmission chain of this virus. So until then, we have to follow all those restrictions that have been put in place at the moment.
Yes, it definitely sounds like it's too early with those kinds of numbers. And another aspect of COVID I feel like nobody has actually talked about is what folks in your field call a cytokine storm. Can you explain to us what cytokines are and how it plays into why COVID symptoms in some people are relatively mild, while for others it's deadly?
Oh, thank you very much, Manila, for bringing this one up. I fully endorse that many people have ignored this aspect, which is certainly very important. So just let me explain what the cytokine storm is. So cytokines are biomolecule in our body as a part of defense system. So whenever we are infected with any pathogen, bacteria, viruses, parasite, or any pathogens, or even allergies, then our body react through producing these biomolecules, and these biomolecules are important for our defense system. But what happens is that when viruses, like aggressive viruses, like SARS-2, when they infect us, those cytokines are produced in enormous quantity that make them as a suicidal. So they start eating our own lung and our own body parts. That is what making the virus very deadly, because our cytokines are making damage in our body, and secondly, we are infected with the virus altogether, make very harsh damage to our lungs, to our upper respiratory tract. That is how the severe outcome of the disease comes.
Now, do scientists in your field know yet why COVID in particular is triggering a more rapid cytokine production in the body rather than infections like Zika or West Nile virus? I have read studies that say COVID triggers a 50 times higher production than many other viruses.
Yes, again, very important point, Manila. I think we have been starting, working on the cytokine storm in the beginning, but that is the field that has been left out quite a bit. But what I can tell you is that whenever there is an aggressiveness of the virus, the cytokine storm is even more aggressive. For example, if we talk about Ebola, cytokine storm is not really a big problem. When we talk about Zika or HIV, cytokine storm is not really a big problem. But when we talk about SARS-2, when we talk about influenza, these are very aggressive viruses. So more aggressive the virus is, our bodies start to react aggressively because it has to cope with the threat. So therefore, it starts producing cytokines equivalently, and that equation with the virus infection compared to the cytokine storm altogether make the biggest damage to our body.
Yeah, certainly still a whole lot to be explored there, especially in the area of cytokines. So I'm so happy that you were able to join us again and share your expertise. Dr. Mohammed Munir over in the UK, thank you so much.